Hi, everyone. Welcome to Ship Talk. I'm Nathan, Director of Marketing at Logistic, where we help shippers better monitor, manage, and reduce their shipping costs. Today, I'm joined by Logistic co-founder, Jared.
Nate.
Yeah, we're here. We're doing this thing. So today, we're going to discuss service guarantees.
Love it.
Are you ready for that?
Fun topic.
All right, you got your service guarantee hat on?
I got it.
All right, let's do it. So as it relates to the services provided by UPS and FedEx, what are service guarantees?
Yeah, so most services, with the exception of the parcel hybrids, come with time in transit guarantees, along with a promise by UPS and FedEx to refund your money for that package if they deliver it late. Now, as we know, that doesn't happen automatically. It's the shipper's responsibility to file for late shipments. But yeah, for example, if I wanted to ship a package, let's say from here in Southern California to New York, and I wanted to ship that next day air, that's going to come with a guarantee, meaning it's guaranteed to be delivered by a certain time. FedEx and or UPS don't meet that time in transit commitment. I have the ability as a shipper to file for a refund on that particular package. Late package.
That's a great answer. I feel like now I'm a guaranteed service or service guaranteed expert.
You already were, Nate.
So when and why did UPS and FedEx suspend their service guarantees earlier this year? Like, what was the reason behind that?
Yeah, so obviously we know this year has been a little bit of an anomaly in comparison to years past.
You could say that.
Yeah. On Monday, it was Monday, March 23rd, FedEx announced that they were suspending their service guarantees along with their promise to issue refunds for any shipments that were delivered late. And then the very next day, so Tuesday, March 24th, UPS made the exact same announcement, basically notifying their customers that that was going to take effect on the 26th, so a few days after. So the carriers in their announcement used COVID as the reasoning for that decision, increase in package volume, inability to deliver due to businesses closing down. The reason the carriers gave for this decision was essentially COVID and everything that was happening back in March. You know, we had a lot of unknowns at the time. We had businesses that were closing down, people that were going from working in offices to working from home. And there was just a lot of chaos and unknowns at the time. So it was their response to COVID. There was some speculation at the time that perhaps it was an opportunistic move by the carriers. Not going to comment on that, but yeah, it all happened pretty quickly as things were escalating here in the country related to the COVID situation.
You brought up an interesting point right at the top of that answer, and you said that one carrier made the announcement and then the very next day, the next did. Is that typical for them to kind of play off of each other?
You know, that's a great question, and it's very typical. You know, when you have two main players that control such a massive industry like the small parcel industry, you know, it doesn't necessarily take both of them sitting down at the table together making decisions that are going to impact or affect the entire industry. And so oftentimes what we see is one carrier will make a decision or make a move, and then the next carrier and then the other carrier will follow suit shortly thereafter. We see this not just in this decision, but we see this typically every year with the general price increase. You know, FedEx will make their announcement, UPS will match that announcement, and so on and so forth. But yeah, short answer, it's extremely common in the industry.
That's interesting. So kind of switching gears a little bit here, why would shippers pay for expedited, more expensive services if those services don't come with a guaranteed delivery time? If you're shipping something, you're making that decision on behalf of your business, why would you pay for something that's more expensive that you don't really have an assurance that it's going to actually happen that way?
Yeah, right. That's the logic. Yeah, you would think that would be the logic. Me as a shipper in deciding to ship an expedited, more expensive package is that I'm choosing that because it comes with a guarantee. And so, yeah, that begs the question, why would a shipper decide to choose a more expensive expedited package delivery service doesn't come with a guarantee? Meaning, if the carrier doesn't meet that expected or anticipated time in transit commitment, there's no recourse, right? So I think what we're seeing within some of our client base is we're seeing a degradation of service, meaning companies aren't shipping as much next day air AM because they're asking the question, well, does it really need to be there next day air? Because they're asking, does it really need to be there in the morning or can it be there in the afternoon? And if it doesn't come with a guarantee that it's going to get delivered in the morning, well, then I might as well just pay a little bit less and ship it next day air with an estimated PM delivery commitment.
Okay. So just following that same train of logic here, aren't shippers better off downgrading to a more cost-effective service? If you're not going to get that guarantee, why not downgrade?
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. It's a great question. For some, they still want to be able to rely on the expected or anticipated time in transit commitment that would come along with a next day air or a 2-day air shipment. I mean, just because the carriers have taken the guarantee away doesn't mean there's still not a delivery commitment that they are shooting for. There's just no recourse if they don't hit that. And so, yeah, I think it is an opportunity for shippers to really look at the expedited services, the air services that they're using, and ask the question, does this really have to go out next day air or 2-day air? Can this go out ground? And as we know, in some cases, depending on the zone, a ground package can actually get there quicker than, let's say, a 2-day shipment. If that package is being delivered somewhere close by, right? And so I think this is, if anything, an opportunity for shippers to really evaluate the services that they're using now that there is no recourse. If you select a more expensive expedited service and it doesn't get delivered within the time in transit commitment that you're expecting, that there's no recourse. And so why am I going to pay extra for something that doesn't come with a guarantee when that's what the carriers have sold for years and years and years, is that guarantee, along with the promise to refund cost of that shipment in the event that it is delivered late.
So service guarantees aside, we know that that's not happening, has been happening for a couple months. Do either FedEx or UPS provide service level breakdown in the monthly invoices that are sent to shippers? Does a shipper have the ability to see their service level usage very easily, or is that something that they have to dig around for?
So yeah, I mean, they do have that ability. That is relying on your carrier to provide you with that information, which, as we know, can be difficult. And that is one of the advantages of using a technology platform like Logistic, is we're able to pull in all of that information and provide that back to a shipper in a format that makes sense. Because otherwise, shippers who rely on getting shipping information directly from their carrier, oftentimes getting that information in Excel spreadsheets, which, as we know, can be hard to work with and hard to understand and make sense of. And so, yeah, one of the great things about a technology platform like Logistic is shippers can connect their UPS and FedEx accounts to that for free, where all that information is pulled and consolidated and then presented back to the shipper in a way that allows them to make sense of the service levels that they're using.
Jared, I love Excel, but I would like to see something. I mean, I love mountains of data. That's kind of my thing. But if someone were to be able to simplify that for me and I could see it in an easy way, I think I would prefer that.
Yeah.
As much as I love data.
Win-win.
Yeah. So we've clearly established that service guarantees have been off for several months. Do we have an idea when carriers are expected to reinstate that service guarantee?
Yeah. So another great question.
Thank you.
At this point, we really don't. But we do know this. The closer that we get to peak holiday season, which we are now in early October, more likely it is that the carriers will not reinstate that until after holiday peak season. So typically every year during holiday peak season, because of the influx in package volume, the carriers suspend their service guarantees over a period of time that runs from around Thanksgiving through the end of December, because there's just such a huge influx of package volume during that time period. So we're here in early October. If they were to reinstate that now, that would be reinstated for maybe a month before they take that away again for the holiday peak season. So at some point, it just makes sense for the carrier to just ride it out through the end of the year. And obviously, the longer they ride that out, the more money the carrier gets to keep in the form of late shipment refund credits that would otherwise go back to their clients. So yeah, it behooves the carrier to keep this thing in effect, that being the service guarantee restriction, as long as possible. So I think for shippers out there, a safe expectation would be that this thing isn't coming back until after the new year. And there's even been some speculation over the years that it may never come back. And there may come a day where the carriers just take away that guarantee altogether. So that's also, I think, a possibility that shippers need to consider, is that there is a chance that this never comes back. Packages are no longer guaranteed.
Something shippers should probably plan for. And you and I both know this, but the carriers have had a very lucrative year this year, to put it lightly.
They have. Yes, indeed.
Well, I just want to say thank you for your insight on this. I know this is something near and dear to your heart.
Yep.
You live and breathe it. So thanks again. And everyone, thank you for watching. Appreciate it.